Hello and welcome to TLDR with Two Nerds in a Truck. Today we are talking about Presqu'ile Provincial Park.
So Presqu'ile is one I've been looking forward to for a while because we have the Audubon birding app, and I am a complete masochist and have been checking that thing religiously for months because that park's really known for birding, and they had all kinds of cool stuff show up. Unfortunately, with our situation with the cats and it being so far from home, it's not really an option to go there in the winter because the camping's closed. So no snow buntings for us. But we did manage to visit during the spring migration.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Absolutely. Let's dig into the details.
Okay, so for the basics, Presqu'ile Provincial Park is located in Brighton, Ontario. It's just on the east side of the GTA. It's not very far from Toronto. I didn't actually keep track of how far it is from Toronto, but it was only about 3 hours from home, I think, or 3.5 hours.
Right. It didn't seem too far away.
Hamilton. And that's crossing the GTA, and the GTA is a monster to cross. Their camping season is from April 25th to October 27th. We visited shortly after it opened for the season, and it is a natural environment class park. What do you want to tell us about registration check-in?
So as usual, we use the Provincial Park website to book our stay 5 months in advance, and trying to get that best site possible. So we booked it as soon as we could. When we got there to check in...
Well, actually, we should stop before that. We didn't go with our site.
That's right.
Yeah, because we were driving on the way there, and I can't remember. Did we extended our day? Yes, because we were supposed to stay in Darlington for a night, and we decided to cancel that at the last minute, literally as we were heading to Darlington, and add a day at Presqu'ile. So in the process of adding that day at Presqu'ile, not only was I able to add a day to our stay, we locked into a waterfront site.
We did.
That I was not able to get the first time, and it was a million times better than the site we did get. So we started off the trip on the right foot there. Anyway, check-in. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. As you pull up to the check-in area, there's a small gatehouse, and it doesn't really look like window service, so I'm looking for the parking spots. Someone comes out to greet me, takes all the information, friendly and everything. She goes back in and gets our slips and everything. And I said, hey, for future reference, am I supposed to pull ahead and park? Because I could see some parking spots up further beyond the gatehouse.
Those were just car parking spots, though.
Right. And she said that, normally somebody will come out. If by chance they're busy and they don't, you can go ahead and pull ahead. But it seemed like the usual manner is that the employee actually comes out and greets you at your door.
I bet check-in is an absolute zoo during the summer, because that's a fairly big park, and there's not a lot of lead up to the park.
Yeah.
I don't know where all the trailers go. I'm just picturing like Pinery, or what was the other one that was terrible? Oh, Sibbald. Was Sibbald the one where it was just a zoo to get into?
I think it was. I don't remember.
It was bad. You'd remember. You're probably traumatized into forgetting.
That's right.
Anyway, yeah, so beyond that, I guess we'll talk about maps and signage. We were given, you know what, as far as the one thing we didn't mention is that we've been kind of spoiled lately on what's it called, the registration?
Permitless?
Permits, yeah. Because I've liked the paperless ones. I like when you don't have to do anything, and I still don't understand the point of the post ones. I don't believe for a second that any of the staff ever checks those. And it was raining a lot of our stay, so it's like I wouldn't want to be the person to go back and like collect them, because everyone leaves them. I always see sloppy, wet, paper permits ever. I don't know, but anyway, we had to get 3 separate permits for ours. It was the tow car, the RV, and the
post.
The post. Yeah, so that seems excessive.
Yep. Hopefully they'll move over to the paperless permits soon.
All right.
How's the park map?
So we were actually given 2 park maps when we arrived. One was the 11 by 17 folded full color map, and then there was an 8.5 by 11 black and white photocopy of a map of the campground areas. I hate the black and white photocopies. So in this case, as is with most cases, not as bad as Kakabek Falls, mind you, it was pretty clear that some of the stuff indicated on the black and white map had originally been color coded. Color coding does not work when you do black and white photocopies. So I wish the park would invest in color copies of stuff that has color coding. As far as the color map, it could definitely have done with having like a lighter blue for the water areas, because there was some black text that was superimposed and it was low contrast. So that was kind of annoying. There was a lot of space dedicated to the water there, like just empty blue. But but there was no information about the trails at all, aside from that they existed and where they were on the map. I think I got kind of spoiled at Inverhuron and McGregor Point because their maps have like trail lengths and descriptions and whatever difficulty printed right on the map. So that was a little annoying because it's like I feel like they could have better used that space. The trailheads all have like detailed information about them too. It's just I'd like to know that information ahead of time when I'm thinking of going out.
Yep.
The map also didn't label any of the accessible facilities. So there are accessible facilities there. Most provincial parks mark those on the map. This one didn't. So it didn't say which of the comfort stations were accessible. It didn't say anything about which trails were accessible. And I'm not a fan of like the idea of having to drive around to figure out. Like I'm not a wheelchair user, but like I've been disabled enough to be able to empathize, and I don't like the idea of making disabled people drive around to figure out what's what, you know. When we do our sandbanks review next, that is going to be a rant. Anyway, the other thing is that it left off garbage and recycling areas on the map, which seemed weird to me because like you'd think the park would really want people to know where to throw their garbage out.
Right.
So,
luckily, it was easy for us to find
It
ours.
was easy for us. Yeah, it's just it's weird. They're usually indicated on the map, and like I said, there was so much wasted space for the water. You'd think they'd come up with some for the garbage.
Well, I had one minor annoyance. So one of the maps has north almost straight up, and the other map that zooms into the campgrounds has north straight down.
That's
and so,
annoying.
Yeah, because you're looking at this overview map, and north is just about straight up, and then you kind of like scan over to the campgrounds to kind of zoom in, so to speak, and you're like, wait a minute, this doesn't match, and then you're like, oh, because it's upside down.
Now that you say that, I remember having to like turn because I was trying to figure out where we were, and I remember having to turn something around because I assumed it was the other way or something. We're a couple parks past that right now, so the memory's a little bit
and there's
faded.
no reason for it, right? You could have flipped either one of those upside down, and all the same information would still work on there. And it doesn't make sense.
That was the park where you had to flip the whole. That the one side of the map was completely like the map was upside down from the information on the other side.
Oh,
wasn't
right.
it? Yeah, that was weird. So signage in the park was pretty adequate for the most part. Some places it was great. Overall, there was a lot of high contrast, informative, well placed signs. All the trailheads had fantastic signage. Like they all had maps and distances and descriptions and everything like that. The only problem is that at least our campground area, we were in High Bluffs, but in some of the campground areas, one-way roads weren't necessarily marked as such. Like you could tell that you were on a one-way road when you were on it. But you didn't necessarily know which side was the entrance or the exit for that one-way road. You'd only know because the posts were facing the wrong way.
Yep.
Waste and water services.
Yeah, so after you check in, there's a fairly long, mostly straight road to get to the campground, and the poop loop is shortly afterwards on the left-hand side. So you've got 2 lanes there with no bypass. And each one's got the dump platform on the left, and then followed by a fill platform.
Can we just rant about that? Sure. I hate when they put the dump platforms first.
I know. I've seen far too many people dump their waste wearing no glove, and I'm aware that they could go wash their hands and everything, but
they don't.
It's just like, why aren't you wearing gloves? Come on, I wear gloves and then I wash my hands.
Yeah, so gross.
So I don't want that person to grab the fill hose and fill up with it afterwards. So why don't you just put the fill hose first when your hands are presumably reasonably clean?
And they're all like that. So many of the parks have I mean, I know we've noticed when there's fill stations first.
Yeah.
We probably sound dumb to whoever's listening, but it's like...
It's standard, let's say that. It's not Presqu'ile's fault. However, I think the park system
but I need to rant about it.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, the next thing, a minor rant, is after you leave that fill station, you realize...
Well, as you're leaving it.
Yeah, as you're leaving, it's a really short distance to the main road. It's just a small loop. And per the painted lines, you've committed to either turning left or right based on which lane you've chosen. So I chose the outside lane just because it's a little easier for me to maneuver around there. And so now I'm supposed to turn right, but I wanted to turn left.
And it's not indicated on the way in.
Right. So I can understand why they would do that. However, I have to turn left. So there wasn't really any traffic around. So we just turned left anyways. It was fine. But I kind of feel like if you want that to be enforced, maybe you should put that indication when you first pull in.
So connectivity, we had pretty crappy cell phone reception in general, which sucked because it rained so bad for so much of our stay.
Yeah.
Like, so when you, and I mean, I don't mean, oh, it's a drizzle, we could go out and try and enjoy the trail, we'll just put a rain jacket on. I mean, like, we're holed up in the RV kind of rain.
Yeah, we've got Rogers Wireless, and I would have assumed that area pretty close to the GTA would have been covered very well.
And right on the lake. Like, I find like anywhere near the lake tends to have good reception, and we were literally on the lake, and there was not great reception. The bigger set of campground loops, so because we were kind of off to the side on the end of them, but the big main set of campground loops had really bad reception, like even worse than we had.
So you talked about accessibility just a little bit. Why don't you tell me more?
Okay, so Presqu'ile is a really, really accessible park, and it's way more accessible than the website even lets on. There's parks that play up their accessibility and then don't live up to it, and then there's parks that like don't even say anything about accessibility, and it turns out they're really accessible, and you'd think they'd want to play that up, right?
You would think.
Was not the case here. So first up, like the park's website says, all comfort stations allow for barrier-free access to flush toilets and shower. That is, that one needs a grain of salt to be taken with it. So basically, every comfort station has accessible facilities, but each comfort station services more than one campground, and some of the trails up to the comfort stations are not accessible. So a comfort station might have an accessible way to get up to there, but you might need to leave your campground and drive over to the next one and get up through there, because some of the trails are pretty rustic, you know?
That's rough.
So we've got all the information on our website about that, but very quickly, the central comfort stations wheelchair accessible from the parking lot, which is on the road to the Hidden Valley campground and stuff like that. It's not accessible from the Maples campground. There's a very steep, rough trail up from there. That central comfort station is the most wheelchair friendly comfort station in the park. It's just a bit of a drive from pretty much everywhere. The comfort station between Hidden Valley and Lakeside is wheelchair accessible, but only from the Hidden Valley side. There's a nice ramp there. It kind of goes around in a curve. But the other side has 3 trails to other campgrounds, and none of those are wheelchair accessible. The comfort station in Pines campground I think it's just washrooms. That one didn't actually have any doors as being labeled as being accessible, but it's labeled as a comfort station. So I'm not sure if the park considered it a comfort station or not outside of the map. But they're not labeled as being accessible. There is an accessible parking spot there, so I'm not sure what the deal is there. There's a little bit of a bump from that parking spot up to the cement pad. It's doable in a wheelchair. It's just not like friendly. You know what I mean? Like usually they'll do kind of like a graduated little, not even just a ramp, but just like a little graduated.
Yeah.
Anyway, the High Bluff Comfort Station is wheelchair accessible. This is a weird one, actually. They're wheelchair accessible from the west side, which is like the higher ground part of it. Like it's hard to say. It's not like in the center of the it's got a weird loop. You look at the map, you'll see what I mean. But the west side higher ground area of it is wheelchair accessible, and there's parking lot there. The east side, which is like lower down, has a rough path up to it that doesn't really look wheelchair accessible. But the weird thing is that campground's accessible or barrier-free campsites are down at the bottom there. So you'd need to kind of get up around to the other one. You'd think they just put the accessible campsites next to where it is wheelchair accessible.
Yeah.
Anyway, there are some washrooms in the park that are barrier-free, both in actual designation, like in designation and actuality. Like I need to differentiate, because there's a lot of times where the washrooms will say barrier-free, and it's actually the washroom stall that's barrier-free, but there's not necessarily a wheelchair-friendly way to get to that washroom. So some of them are both, but they're not labeled on the map. So you kind of have to drive around until you find one. Now, the Lighthouse Point and the beach one both have accessible washrooms. I just wish they'd label them on the map, because there are a lot of, outhouses and like toilet buildings, and just none of them are labeled as being accessible on the map. Okay, the park facilities. The Camp Office, Lighthouse Center, Main Gatehouse, and Nature Center are all designated as being barrier-free, but most of those were closed during our stay. So I can't really confirm all of that. The park store isn't labeled as being barrier free, but it seems to be. There was a really, really nice ramp outside. Remember that? And it had traction strips, which I really like because a lot of the wood ones don't. It was closed during our stay, but we peeked in the window and it looked like it had, wide enough aisles and stuff like that. So it is likely barrier free, even though it's not listed as such on the website. There are 2 barrier free campsites, number 81 and 83, that were in our campground, the High Bluffs one. I don't know if there were more throughout the park. Just as mentioned, they're kind of in a weird location for that comfort station. And then some of the exploration tents, the roofed accommodations, have ramps, but not all of them. And the park doesn't designate which one is. So I think what you have to do is when you're booking those, I think you have to say barrier free as a filter. Anyway, beach number 1 is designated as accessible, and there was a really long Moby mat. I don't think I've ever seen a Moby mat that long. Have you?
We've seen them go into the water.
No, but I'm saying lengthwise, like that was a long.
I don't know that we have.
It was a little bumpy. I don't say it needs to be regraded, but I think it's probably going to need to be regraded after this. We've seen some pretty bad ones that had like sinkholes underneath and stuff. This was like a little bumpy. The mat only goes halfway out to the water, but the sand was the kind that's easy to walk on. And I think it, at least at the time of our stay, it was probably wheelchair accessible just because it was very like packed. You know what I mean? Yep. I don't know if there's a word for that kind of sand, but it's like you don't sink in at all. So it was probably actually wheelchair accessible from the mat to the water. I'm assuming they'd extend that in the summer, and I don't actually know if like the tide was low at the point we went, because for all I know, the mat does extend to the water in the summer.
Sure.
We were way off season for that. There is a bird blind. Oh, there is an accessible washroom at that beach also. It's got ramps up the front, but the washroom itself wasn't labeled as being accessible, which is weird. But I would assume at the accessible beaches and accessible washroom, especially with the ramp out front. Anyway, the calf pasture day use area has a bird blind. I'm ranting. You're going to glaze over at all this accessibility talk. Just wait till we do the TLDR for Sandbanks. Anyway, calf pasture bird blind is really accessible. Actually, it's very old. Like that looked kind of very rustic and old, but it had a ramp that also had traction strips. And so bird blinds if you don't know, it's basically a structure that kind of hides you from birds a bit so you can watch them without spooking them. Usually there's like higher up windows for you to look out. The nice thing about this is not only were there windows cut out that if you're an adult standing up, you can look out, but there were lower ones also. So if you do wheel up there, you can see it from a seated position also. So I thought that was a nice touch, Yeah,
it was really nice.
Then the last thing I think that I need to talk about is that there's a campground office viewing deck. So if you park at the campground office, it's kind of across the residential street from kind of the marshy area. There is a viewing deck there that's really nice. You went up on it.
I did.
That one's wheelchair accessible, but there's no parking in front of it. So you have to kind of wheel around the street to get there.
Yep.
And by no parking there, I mean there's a pullover section that people clearly park there.
Yeah.
But it's not labeled as parking accessible or otherwise. So I would take that with a grain of salt.
Right.
So that's it for accessible facilities. Let's talk about accessible trails. Okay, so there's only one trail in the park that's actually designated on the park's website as being wheelchair accessible, and that's the Marsh Boardwalk Trail. Mostly true. The vast majority of the trail is a boardwalk, and that was a really, really nice boardwalk.
It really was.
We usually see wooden boardwalks.
Yep.
And it looks wooden, but it's that is it composite? Is that what it's called? So it's composite decking. So it didn't have any like waving or warping or loose boards or anything. Like it was very nice. There's a couple of viewing towers on that trail that aren't wheelchair accessible, but they're optional. Like they're off to the side. You can get around them easy without having to go up them. That said, once the boardwalk section comes to an end, there's about 60 meters that is likely wheelchair accessible. There's a little bump down. It's packed through the woods. It's got that packed spruce needle kind of backing, whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's another boardwalk, except for that one has like, I think 3 inches worth of a drop. It's about 3 inches, right?
Probably.
Drop down to the ground. And then that forest area is more hilly and whatnot. personally, if I was a wheelchair user, I would wheel the boardwalk trail, and then I would wheel myself right back to the beginning, because the boardwalk trail is so much nicer than
really
the
is.
forest anyway that I wouldn't bother with it.
Yeah, it's very much just a cut through to get back.
Yeah.
You know, it's lovely, but you're not missing anything.
No, and it's I feel like if you went back the way you came on the boardwalk trail, you'd get more anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same views, but I feel like it's a little bit of a different perspective. I really like that trail a lot.
Definitely.
Okay, then there is the trail out to the lighthouse area.
Yes.
That is technically wheelchair accessible from the parking lot to the lighthouse, but it's kind of narrow in places. From the lighthouse to the rest of the loop, it's not really what I would consider wheelchair accessible. We've got a cat going crazy here. Panthers got the hypers. Big cats, 25-pound cats getting the hypers in a little RV is a sight to see, let me tell you. Anyway, the rest of that loop kind of goes to like this really rough, like flagstone type path. And I don't mean like the flat flagstone that's like level with the mortar or whatever in between, but it was quite bumpy. So again, I'd just go back the way I came once reaching the lighthouse.
Yeah.
Job's Woods Trail has accessible parking. I was having a really bad tendon day and honestly should have been in a boot, and then I could honestly have talked about how accessible that trail is. But I was being stubborn and didn't boot up, so Porter did that trail by himself. Yeah. You said it was probably...
I believe it to be accessible. The caveat is I am able-bodied, and if there was a step up, I might not have noticed because I take it for granted.
It's easy to forget. I mean, honestly, I'm disabled, and sometimes like, if I'm not making a point of looking like, is this an accessible trail, I can easily forget, like, oh yeah, there was an 1.5 inch step up there or whatever.
It's not like there's 2 steps up on an accessible
Oh my
trail.
God. You know what? We're going to end up just babbling. No spoilers for Sandbanks. No spoilers for Sandbanks, man. Okay. I think you just totally spoiled that, but Sandbanks was bad. From an accessibility point. Anyway, other than that, all of the trails in the park are designated easy. Everything we saw was very flat, and even if you're at all ambulatory, you're not going to have any problem navigating those trails, even with a mobility aid. If I had, given in and put my boot on, I would have had no problem doing any of those. And I could see the same if I was having a cane day or crutches or whatever. Like, they were all wide and flat and easy. So I get to shut up now. Why don't you tell us about pets?
All right. Well, pets are allowed in the park. We actually saw a bunch of dogs during our stay. There's all the typical rules that you'd expect at Ontario Provincial Parks, which is they're supposed to be kept on a leash at all times, always supervised, and always pick up after them. Don't let them harass other campers.
And properly dispose of when picked up.
Absolutely. Don't let them harass campers or other wildlife. Their dogs are not allowed on any of the sand beaches in the park, and they're also not allowed in any of the roofed accommodations.
Yeah. There were cute dogs.
There were
such cute dogs. So for parking, we visited in early May, which was kind of a weird situation because it's not high season for camping, but it is high season for birding. That is a very birding famous park. So yeah. I don't know. It was busier than we expected for the time of year, right? Yeah. Probably because of the bird migration. So that said, there was tons of parking available at all of the trails and all the attractions and stuff like that. Some of the trails had smaller parking lots, but those were the really short trails.
Yep.
Like if you're only going to be in, I think they have lots of turnover, so I don't think that those trails were necessarily inadequate parking. The Owen Point Trail parking lot was like really big for the size of the trail.
Yeah.
And I think there were multiple areas that you could park for that, because you could park at the store. There were a few access points. You can get it from the campground also. So yeah, weirdly big parking lot for that one. So I'm wondering if maybe that one gets really busy in the summer.
Yeah, I bet they see a lot of groups out there.
That's an interesting trail, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
We will.
Miscellaneous, we usually talk about sky stuff. What do you want to tell us about miscellaneous stuff?
So it's pretty close to the GTA, and it's facing south, or the beaches are facing south. So it's really not great for Aurora Borealis. Could still get some good night views, but it's not an ideal location for that. Sunrises and sunsets, however, we happened to catch a really nice sunset.
2 really nice sunsets.
Yeah.
But we didn't get any nice sunrises because it was always overcast. I think the sunrises would have been potentially better than the sunsets because the sunsets were kind of off view a little bit. But the sunrises, I bet, would be spectacular if the weather conditions permit.
Definitely. Some of the campground roads are in less than stellar condition, shall we
That's
say.
being generous.
We drove our small car around, and it was like, bumping around, and it's like, wow, I'm glad we're not taking the big RV out here.
It was one of those roads where you're like, we do have shocks on this car, right? We might lose a tire.
And then tell us about the celebrity you met.
The park celebrity. Okay, so a few days before we went, I'm in the Presqu'ile Park Facebook group, and someone had posted this picture of this old man and said, oh, look, Fred's out with his, I can't remember what they said. I think it was his pair of shorts or something, or his kind of shoes or something. It was a brand name or something. Anyways, regardless, they said, oh, Fred's out, blah, blah. And the comments were all full with people saying, oh, he's such a lovely man, and oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, so obviously he was like well known.
Yeah.
So we were walking in the lighthouse area and we saw this friendly old man, and I'm like, oh crap, that's Fred. I think. I'm horrible with face recognition. So I asked him, like, excuse me, sir, is your name Fred? And he looked surprised that I knew. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I said, I recognize you from a Facebook post. Someone had posted about you. He's like, oh, what's that? It's like, so I showed him the post, right? And I read him some of the nice things people were saying about him. I think he blushed. He was so cute. Anyway, so he is actually famous. He seems to have had a lot to do with the Friends of Presqu'ile Park. He wrote a book, and then there's after we left that area after meeting him, like literally minutes after meeting the famous Fred, we came to a park bench on the side of the road. Like, I think that was at one of the trailheads for what was the name of that trail? Whatever it was. Anyways, Pioneer Trail maybe. It was Fred's Perch. And
Yep.
I asked in the group, I'm like, is he Fred from the Fred's Perch? And yeah, that was his bench. So
that's great.
His name's Fred Hellener? Hellener? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm one of those, I've only seen it in print, people.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for him next time we're there.
Yeah. So, what can you tell me about campground amenities?
So, you mentioned that we went there off season, so some of the amenities were closed for us. There's 4 campground comfort stations, and they vary in what they're offering. So, if you're in the Central and Maples comfort station, you have the dishwashing station, the flush toilets, and laundry facilities and showers.
That's the only one with laundry facilities.
Good to know. Hidden Valley, you have the dishwashing station, flush toilets, and showers. High Bluff, where we were, we have a dishwashing station, flush toilets, and showers. And the Pines only has flush toilets. You can also find vault toilets throughout the whole park. Some are really nice and new, really look modern.
Well, some of them are flush toilets.
Okay. And some of them look a little bit older.
Oh my God. Some of them are scary. So when I was a kid, we used to go camping, and I've got this lifelong, I don't know if I want to say phobia I don't think it rises to the level of phobia, but I really am not a fan of outhouses. And they have some of the outhouses that, no. Just no. Nope.
Maybe due for replacement.
Might be due for, yes. Yeah, we'll say it that way. So Park Store. There were 2 park stores, and neither one of them were open during our stay. The main park store, it looks pretty big.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that it had a huge ramp out front. Like, I said this in the accessibility, but it wasn't just like this little ramp. It was this big thing. So that's the one where you'd go to get like camping supplies and groceries and souvenirs and snacks and that kind of thing. There was a little free library outside. Now, that's like the second time recently we've seen little free libraries at parks. I hope there are going to be more of them. I know there was one at Shoots.
Yeah, and Bon Cher has one.
Bon Cher had one. Yeah, Bon Cher's was so cute. I like theirs. Wasn't it like a canoe or something?
I was thinking it was like a tree.
It was like a tree. It was, yeah, but it was like a carved something. Bon Cher is great. Anyways, besides that park store, there's also a little gift shop, park store, gift shop, bookstore, or whatever in the Lighthouse Center. That one's run by the Friends of Presqu'ile. That wasn't open during our stay. Aside from that, you can get firewood at the camp office and the park store during the summer months, and the rest of the months, like the rest of the year, you can get firewood at the main gate in the main office building.
Yep.
What can you tell us about visitor centers?
So there's 2 places you can go to get visitor information. One of them is the Lighthouse Center, which you kind of mentioned before. The Friends of what is it? Friends of Presqu'ile.
Oh my god. Blah, blah. What is English anymore? Oh, I can't say what is English. So Presqu'ile is French, obviously.
That wasn't obvious to me. I didn't know that, actually.
You didn't know that Presqu'ile? Oh my god, you're so American sometimes. No, it is, and it means peninsula, because the park is out on a peninsula. So anyways.
So
sorry.
The Lighthouse Center has information there. I wish we could have gone in. It wasn't available for us at the time.
It was cute outside, though.
It was really cute. I really like that. The other place is the Nature Center. So that one's only open from Canada Day to Labor Day weekend. So not a time period we're likely to be there, unfortunately.
Man, I can't even remember the Nature Center now. What did that one look like?
Looks like an old
Oh, you
house.
know what? Yeah, but that's because that was off the road. That looked like a cabin. I remember that now. Yeah. I liked so the nice thing about the Lighthouse Center was that there was a lot of educational stuff outside also. Like I remember there was, what do you call those? It's not a binoculars. It's
I don't know what the official term is. I call them the big old
binoculars.
Yeah, the viewing system.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff there though, because there was a ship that sank called the Speedy, and I guess it was hauling someone that was going to court for, was it murder or assault or something? I can't remember. But it was carrying him and I think the prosecutor, or basically there was a bunch of really important people on the ship and it sank. So there was a bunch of different signs about that. There was also a bird blind there.
Yeah.
The bird blind was super cute, but do you remember the side of the bird blind? The signs.
Oh, the
laminated.
Yeah, they had the laminated cards telling you what you might be seeing there, which is great. I love that.
Yeah, we're just beginners with birding, so it was nice to see. I mean, we knew these ducks that they were
right.
showing, and they're ones that we look for all the time too. But I like that, like Presqu'ile is known as like it is a birders' destination. People come from all over to go there, like people who know what they're doing in a way that we don't.
Yeah.
So I like the way that they're also making birding kind of accessible to new people. Like if you bring your kids there, or if you're not a birder and you're there because like you want a lakefront campsite or whatever,
that
you might see this picture of these ducks that don't look real, and take it up. Because they had several ducks that don't look real there, because they had pictures for long-tailed duck and wood ducks. Wood ducks look fake.
They do. So what about the day use areas now?
So there's two main day use areas, and then there's random like little picnic nooks along the way too. So the first day use area that you come to if you're doing the big loop of the park is the I don't know if there's a name for it. It's like Lighthouse Lane picnic area, we'll call that. Long stretch of open picnic area along Lighthouse Lane leading up to Presqu'ile Point. There's a big grassy road on the left, and then there's a whole bunch of like sporadically placed picnic tables and benches on the right, all overlooking the lake. Now that part of the lake, I don't think you can actually swim in, because part of the map said that it's strong currents and whatever not to go in there, but it's gorgeous, and those picnic tables had amazing views. Weird parking situation for that area though, because when you pull into the area, there's a sign that says no parking, and it points behind you, right? So presumably it's saying you can park going forward, right? Except for, so it's a road, and the right side of the road is a bike lane, and then there's like a little shoulder that's not wide enough for parking.
Yeah, and the left side has no shoulder. There's no parking on the left for sure.
No, and we saw all different kinds of parking there when we were there, because some people drove right off the road into the day use area and parked on the lawn. I don't think you're supposed to do that.
It seems like if everybody did that, it would just tear up the lawn.
It would, so that didn't seem right. And then we saw people parked on the kind of shoulder of it.
Yep.
And then we saw people full out park. We saw park employees full out parked in the bike lane, which I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big deal there, just because I don't think there's enough traffic for cyclists not to be able to get around a parked car.
Right.
But I know that all like traffic laws apply in Provincial Park. So it's like, so you really shouldn't be parking on a bike lane. There's so many situations, especially lately. Like, I don't know if it's just this section of Ontario or what, but I find lately, like between Sandbanks and Presqu'ile, there's a lot of situations where it's like, one sign would have made such a difference.
Yeah.
Like just tell people what to do.
Yep.
Anyways, that whole area is gorgeous. I don't quite get the point of the whole big the big like grassy area to the left, because the area to the right is
the place to be.
Stellar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's like basic grassy area, and then there's the view,
Yep.
Down that road, there's like a large picnic shelter.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyways, that's the Lighthouse Lane day use area. The next one is the calf pasture one, which is if you keep driving down that road and you pass Presqu'ile Point and the lighthouse and everything, calf pasture comes up eventually on your right. There's a little road down to the right. As you kind of descend into the area, there's this marshy area. So apparently that's one of the points where you can go canoeing. I didn't realize that until later. Yeah, they put in canoes there. You had a laugh at me because as soon as we went in there, the first thing you saw was a sign. Do you remember that sign? You poked fun at me about it. What was the subject?
No, what was it?
It was the World War II one. Or not World War II, the 1812.
War of 1812 informational sign. That's right.
So he's American. So anytime there's a War of 1812 thing, we have to poke each other over it. So anyways, you passed the War of 1812 sign.
Correction. I was American. Now I'm reformed.
I saved him. He is no longer. So anyways, so you pass the War of 1812 sign and the marshy area, and there's this big bird blind in front, which I talked about in the accessibility section. Again, like the bird blind at the Lighthouse Center, this one had like all those diagrams and photos of the birds you can look for, which was really cute.
Yep.
There's some picnic tables there. You can kind of drive around the circle, and there's another picnic area that was not very well maintained, and there was one of those outhouses there.
Quaint.
That was a no outhouse. So anyways, that whole, I like the bird blind. I think the bird blind is super cute. I think the marshy area is super cute. If I was into canoeing, I would totally be about that. As a picnic area, not as fond of that one. The right side of the road on that Lighthouse Lane one, that is the day use area.
Definitely.
But then you were in love with the random day use areas out by our campground.
Yeah, I was just walking down the road in the High Bluff campground, and I just saw this, what looked like an empty site, but it wasn't the site.
Nope.
Yeah, it was just a nicely cut lawn with a bench on there, or a picnic table on there.
I think they had a fire pit too, didn't they?
I don't recall. So maybe
they did.
Maybe it used to be a site and it's no longer a site.
Maybe it didn't. I can't remember now. But they were super cute. But it was definitely day use. It was not. We weren't misseeing something. It was definitely a day use.
Right. It was nice to be able to just kind of walk up and not feel like I'm intruding, because I'm not walking on a site, even an empty site.
Yeah. So as far as rentals go,
there's that one picnic shelter you mentioned on the Lighthouse Lane area. That is the only thing you can rent. It does have a barbecue, but you're going to need to bring all your own supplies and your own charcoal and everything.
That surprised me. I really thought that this park would have had, where they've got that set-in point for canoes down there. I thought they would have rent canoes or kayaks or something. I don't know if parks are getting away from that or what, but I feel like a lot of the parks we've gone to lately haven't had watercraft rentals.
It's got to be tough to manage, to be honest.
Yeah. That would have been a cute area, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk campgrounds and campsites.
All right. So any kind of site you get is going to come with the usual that you get at Ontario Provincial Parks, which is a fire pit and a picnic table. Beyond that, it varies quite a bit. There's 8 different campgrounds to go through here.
8 of them.
8 of them.
That was because we do drive-thrus and check out the whole thing when we do these, and it was an ordeal.
Yeah. So we'll start out with Craig's Campground. These are all non-electric sites. It's also radio free, so it should be nice and quiet there. It's only open between the main.
No, well, here, let's be honest.
They were pretty cramped, weren't they?
They were pretty cramped, but also when I see non-electric sites and radio free, that means if anyone brings their kids there, those kids don't have TV, those kids don't have their phones or whatever. That is going to be noisy, but for reasons that are not electronic.
That's true, but there aren't any like playgrounds around there that I'm aware of, are there?
I don't remember seeing any. Were there any playgrounds in Presqu'ile?
Not that I remember seeing.
I don't think so.
So anyway, the Craig's Campground is only open between the May long weekend and Labor Day. Next one,
Elmville Campground, that was mostly non-electric sites. They did not have a comfort station. That one was only open between May long weekend and Labor Day.
Next one's Hidden Valley Campground. These are all non-electric sites as well. And once again, only open between May long weekend and Labor Day.
So the next is High Bluff Campground, which I don't even want to talk about because the first time I tried to book this, I did not get the site that I wanted. Like I did not get a waterfront site. But this is the nicest campground in the whole park. The sites, most of them are electrical. A lot of them have open sky. There's some that are more wooded. But that whole row of waterfront sites they were huge. Like when we were driving from site to site, it was because you have to look for where the posts are, right? They were massive sites, like side to side, just massive. So there's no privacy there, but you're not up in each other's business either.
Right.
The views were wild. But the first thing you notice, because you're a nerd, I mean, like I'm one to talk, but like you got out first, is you came back in, and what'd you say to me?
I said that the rock, so there's a little bit of a step down from the grassy area down to the actual shore, and there's a rocky like ledge area there. And the rocks reminded me of Craigslist.
That is not how you put it.
Okay, how I phrased it was the rocks down there look like they might be fossil rocks.
I just remember you going, those are fossil rocks.
I said might be because I hadn't looked at that point.
You might have gone up an octave or two, though.
I might have gone up.
You might have gone up an octave or two. Anyways, they were fossil rocks, weren't they?
They were.
Yep. So that was cool. Gotta love surprise fossils.
Yeah.
Gotta say, if you end up, this is the thing, is like we did not have this campsite to start. And then I lucked into it literally like half an hour before we drove up is when I changed our reservation. And we get this gorgeous, huge site that's overlooking the lake. It has amazing sunsets. And there's fossils beneath. Like, you couldn't have planned better. I mean, clearly I didn't plan better, you know?
We lucked into this.
So anyways, I kind of don't want to talk about this because I don't want to compete with anyone else for that site. But I'm going to have a hard time beating that site.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of campgrounds booked coming up, and I don't think we're going to be able to top that. I think we started out our season a little bit too much of a high note there.
Yeah.
So everything is going to get compared against that site. I loved it. Anyways, let's carry on. What's the next campground?
The next one's the Lakeside Campground. So here we've got a few sites that are kind of lakeside. There's like a path between you and the lake. Not quite as nice as the High Bluff. We talked that up like crazy.
Nothing is nice.
But these are nice though.
And there's Maples Campground. They're non-electrical sites in a forest. The road is terrible.
Yeah.
The road is terrible. And we talked about that. But that is like just one thing to keep in mind is if you're staying in the sites that are not High Bluff or Pines, that are all down that, like the Maples and whatever, terrible roads. Like I couldn't imagine driving an RV down there, you know? Anyway, and there's also a lot of downed trees bordering a lot of those campsites. I don't know if they had a box elder or not box elder. What's one? Elm? Dutch elm?
Ash wood borer?
I don't know. Is the Dutch elm disease a thing anymore, or was that Winnipeg?
That was a thing when I was younger, but I haven't heard of it lately.
I wonder what happened. Anyway, that must still be a thing. Anyway, we probably sound totally uneducated, but half the people listening to this are like, of course that's a thing, you idiots. Isn't that what they took out? No, it was ash borer. Whatever.
Emerald ash borer took out a lot of the local parks, yeah.
I don't know why those trees are down. There was a big storm fairly recently before we went there too. So for all I know, it was that. It's just, it's a bit of a weird vibe, I think, in that campground with all those down trees.
Yep.
Anyway, that's Maples.
Yeah, next is the Pines Campground. This is a really small loop of electrical campsites. It's next to the High Bluff Campground. So this is also good for RVs, and the road was better quality here.
Yeah. One thing to note, though, is that the map shows that it's like bordering on that marshy area.
Right.
But there's this cute little marsh. You don't have a view of that from within that campground. So if you book there because you think you're going to be next to the marsh, you're not really.
Yep.
So just to say that. So last one's Trails End Campground. So these are mostly electrical sites. There are vault toilets, but this campground's pretty far from the nearest comfort station. And that comfort station's not even open after Labor Day. So something to keep in mind there.
Definitely. So do we want to talk about the marsh, or do we want to move on to the walk-in? We should probably
talk about the marsh because now you've started.
Okay, so next to the High Bluff Campground, as you hinted, is this lovely marsh area. It's not like there's a trail there or anything. That's why there's not a category to fit this one in. But it was a great birding hotspot. Basically, you walk past the garbage dumpsters, which sounds really bad, and then you get to this great little birding area. So we saw a bunch of stuff there, but we'll get into more
What'd you see?
details.
Oh, what I was
Well,
gonna
yeah,
say. What'd you see?
we'll
You
get it.
pissed me off, man. You came back and you showed me a picture of something I've wanted to see for a long time. We'll get back to that in the
Yeah,
birding
we'll get
section,
into
though.
the details. But I walked down there several times just to check it out and see what's going on.
Anyway, so there are also walk-in campsites at Presqu'ile.
Yeah.
It's just 6 of them.
Yep.
And I feel like walk-in is basically just, they're like, there's no parking here. It's not walk-in in the, like, you're going to go somewhere rustic and
Yeah.
hike in and strap your stuff and whatever. No, it's like, it's literally just this little row of 6 campsites with a parking lot on either side. The first parking lot, or the first campsite, is basically the width of a parking, or of a campsite away. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a hike to get here.
Right.
It's just campsites without parking rather
Yeah.
than walk-in camping.
The trail is almost as wide as the road too. It's just basically, I don't think they want cars that close to the water.
Yeah, but you're not even all that close to the water, because you'd think if you're going to do walking campsites, because there's some parks that have amazing,
Yeah.
like 6 Mile Lake has walk-in campsites that are just spectacular views, like right on the water and everything.
Yep.
They have a water view, but the trail to get out there, the wide trail to walk into those campsites, is between you
Yeah.
and the water. So I don't know. It's a little odd.
It feels a little bit more private because there aren't the vehicles
I
there.
suppose.
But other than that, you're right. It's not like this is some really cool high area that you can't get to with a vehicle. It's just no road.
I feel like if you're booking these sites, though, you're booking them kind of, this is my site with the water view.
Yeah.
And then that trail going through it, it's going to feel like you have people walking through your site. Because if it was me, if I was
True.
camping there, I would see that as my water view. And then all of a sudden randos are walking through. Not into it. Anyway, and the other thing is this one doesn't have, like a lot of places that have walk-in sites, or I guess it's more about the cabins and stuff, but they don't have any kind of anything for you to bring your stuff in. But again, you don't really need to, because I think the furthest site from any parking lot, because there's a parking lot on either side with dedicated spots for each site, I think you're only basically 3 campsites away from a parking lot at any point. So
yeah,
you're not really hauling stuff a great distance, and it's a flat trail. Right?
Definitely.
So,
group camping. There's a group camping area. It was gated off, and we have no information on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, because there's no mention of it on the park website.
Yeah, that's a little odd.
I'm so frustrated. I wish Ontario Parks would fact check their own stuff. Fact check and consistency check everything. It's like, do you have group camping? Mention it on the site.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, the area was gated off. We didn't see it. There was roofed accommodation, though.
Yeah.
There are 2 kinds of roofed accommodation, 2 main kinds.
Yep.
And then one kind had a variation. So there was a cottage, which looked cute enough. It was from the 1930s. It's called the Clark Denson Cottage. It was right on the lake. It's kind of near the Lighthouse Point area. Not much of a view of it from the road, so it kind of looked pretty basic. But the information on the website actually makes it sound really cute.
Yeah.
So it's not something we'd ever be able to do because of our cats. But if you're into it, there's a link on our page for you to go for all the information for it. It sounds like a cute option.
It really does.
Speaking of cute options.
Oh, the soft-sided shelters?
Yeah.
That's a tough one for me to say.
Say it 3 times. Say it fast. Come on, do it.
Soft-sided shelters, soft-sided. I cannot do that. So, there are 8 of these.
I'm going to spit tea out my nose. I guess it wouldn't be spitting, but whatever.
7 of them are what are called exploration tents, and one of them is called the Minka tent. The Minka tent is called Earl Burrow.
Earl Burrow.
The Minka tent is called Owl Burrow. Every one of these has got a really cute name on it.
What's weird is only one's listed on the site, though. One is specified as being Turkey's Roost.
Yeah.
And on the park map, and all the rest are just numbered.
Oh, that's weird. The signs on there are really cute.
They are, but they don't associate it with it anywhere.
It feels really welcoming. Like, ooh, I get the Owl Burrow.
They're so cute.
So yeah, really cute. Again, doesn't really work for our needs, but you poked your you looked through the window there and I got to see inside a little bit.
Of one that was not occupied and clearly had not been occupied. To be clear, I was not creeping on anyone.
Fair enough.
Yeah, anyways, they all look pretty similar from the outside. Some have ramps, some don't. The Minka tent is supposed to be different from the other ones, but I'm not quite sure how because the descriptions are very clear. Like once the Minka tent is a soft-sided hybrid tent, and the exploration tents are canvas tents, which are soft-sided, right?
Yeah.
And both say that they've got a timber frame. It looks slightly different, but I couldn't describe and be like, oh, well, that one's got blah, blah.
To me, it's like two different brand names of cars. It's like
that could be it.
They do the same kind of thing. They're just little slight differences. So they sleep 5 or 6, depending on what you get. And they look really cute.
So anyways, I guess we'll get to now I can't speak. Your garble is contagious.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't? Okay, well, at least you said that properly.
I was tempted to say a boot.
Oh my god. I just want to say that there is no alcohol involved with this review. We're just tired. Anyway, let's get to hiking.
Yes.
I'm going to let you talk about hiking because you did most of the hiking because I was screwed up. But anyway, before we get to that,
yeah,
I just want to say, bit of a quibble. There are multiple points on the park's website where it'll say you can download a trail guide for this on the map section of the site, on the maps tab.
Yep.
No such thing exists.
Oh.
I don't know what they're doing, but why would you go to the effort of typing, see the maps tab for a trail guide, and it's not there? Now, the ones that say that had trail guides at the trailheads.
Yep.
And a frog in one case. But yeah, it's just weird. Like there were paper copies at the trailheads.
Yeah.
Overall, though, very walkable park.
Definitely.
Like everything was flat and easy. I say easy as someone that wasn't able to really walk. Let's start out. You did the cemetery trail by yourself.
I did. So I didn't read the informational sign first. I just started marching in, and I kind of regretted that because a trail called the Cemetery Trail, I was keeping an eye out for cemetery gravestones.
To be clear, you TLDR'd with the sign.
I took a picture and walked on.
Didn't read. Too long. Didn't read. Oh my God, Porter. Where is your comprehension this morning? This morning, oh my God. I'm berating you for your comprehension and saying this morning at 8 o'clock at night.
So
what is going on with us?
So I was looking for gravestones, didn't see any, and I enjoyed the trail. It was kind of nice, but the only interesting thing really were the 2 deer that I happened upon on the trail. Other than that, it's extremely short. It's just a one-way, so it very much feels like just a connecting road, but it's not actually connecting to anything in particular. So
stretch your legs, and that's about it.
Yeah, I don't really get the point too much other than maybe just stretching your legs and hoping that you get to see some deer like I did. So the
Job's Woods Trail.
Yep.
That's a hard one too. That's a 1 kilometer loop. Easy. We talked about that a bit, but is there anything else you want to say? Yeah, we talked about accessibility. We didn't talk about what the trail was like.
Right. So you read the description of the trail to me from the park's website, and I was kind of thinking, whatever. Sounds kind of boring, but I'll just do it. Why not?
Peer pressured you.
Yeah, exactly. But I started walking, and I'm like, hey, this is really nice. The description did not do it justice at all. So there's a bunch of different zones, really. You kind of go back and forth between walking through kind of a foresty area. You've got some boardwalks. You're walking next to a marsh, and it kind of repeats that over and over. But
in different kinds of forests, too.
Yeah, so it doesn't really get boring. It's not very long, of course, but and there were tons of woodpeckers out, which, of course, kept me entertained. We'll get more to the wildlife in a bit.
So the next one's the Lighthouse Footpath. That's not even a hiking trail. I barely call it a footpath. It's a 300-meter loop and easy. It's more of like a feature to check out. Go see the lighthouse, but you have to walk this little bit to the lighthouse, and you can see the lighthouse from the parking lot. It's just nothing to it. So the path has, like I said, some educational signage on it. There's the bird blind. It gets a little bit more rustic as you pass the lighthouse, and
Yeah.
there's a little wooden boardwalk and viewing deck out onto the lake. But that's about it. I would not consider that a hike in any
Right.
way. So like it's kind of weird to call it a hiking trail, but I mean
Yeah.
it exists. So we'll talk about it.
Fair enough.
Marsh Trail. We talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, we did. We didn't get into too much details, but you start out from the parking lot and you get this really cool tower to overlook the marshy
You got a
area.
really cool tower.
I got to go to a really cool tower. So that got me excited because I obviously love these views of birds and things. So we started walking along the trail, and as we mentioned earlier, very high quality, stable, flat. Loved
Yeah,
it.
there was no bounce. I'm not a fan of the boardwalks that bounce.
I'll be honest, I did feel some bounce in some areas, but it was
but I mean the floaty bounce. I don't like the floaty bounce.
It was not a floating dock, yeah, and everything like over years and years, a lot of times the foundations can kind of shift and get out of level. This had not happened here. It's very, very well done.
So we should mention that the marsh that the Marsh Boardwalk is on and named for is the largest. Is it the largest or one of the most large? One of the largest. One of the most largest. Look at my English. Anyway, it's at least one of the largest protected marshes on the North Shore of Lake Ontario. So this thing was huge. I mean, you can't even see it all from the trail, but it's it was nice. It was lovely. I liked how we'd walk out over that open area, and then we'd come to that area where those big marsh grasses, I guess, like whatever they were, towered over us on both sides. Almost like not a tunnel because they weren't over you, but it felt like a little bit more cozy as you walked through it, and there was interpretive panels along the way, and it was a really lovely walk. That was definitely my favorite trail in the park.
Yeah, I really liked that little picnic shelter area by where we saw the great egret.
That was really cute. Yeah, so once you come past the second, because you do a bunch of open walking.
Yep.
And then you come to like a little bridge, and then there's another tower, and once you pass that tower, there's this almost like a little picnic area off to the left.
There's a few picnic tables there. So bring
a little step down to the marsh.
Yeah, it's adorable. It's great there. I could hang out there. We had stuff to do, so we couldn't hang out too long.
Well, it was raining too. If it wasn't, because every time we went there, it started drizzling on us.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I think it would be nice to like pack a little picnic and sit there and watch the great egrets in the pond there.
Yep. And you mentioned the cedar forest that happens just after that.
Oh, the horse trees.
Yeah. So you walk up. We saw the sign. We started coming up to it.
Second forest.
Okay. And it tells you that you're free to sit on these trees that
That's weird.
Yeah, they've grown in an odd way, such as the side limb becomes the main limb due to something that happened when it was a small tree. It does ask you not to remove any bark because that can kill it, but I did find
But they look like horse saddles. That's why they're saying you can sit on it, and that's why they're called horse trees, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just weird to see a provincial park saying, yes, please sit on these trees and take your selfies and whatnot, you know?
Yeah, I know. So definitely be careful on them. But yeah, they're cool to see.
They're cute. It seems kind of surreal walking through that area, too, because it's not just one or two trees like this. It's like a bunch of these.
Yeah.
Like, you would think they're deformed trees, but it's pretty cool. Anyways, the next one's Owen Point Trail.
Yeah.
That is a 1.6 kilometer loop. Sort of. Not really. It's a loop with offshoots.
Is it fully a loop? I think I went back
there
the
is
main way.
No, I told you to go. So basically what happened, I walked part of this trail. I walked the first little bit of the loop and out to the first lookout. And by then my ankle was not doing good. So I said, I'm going to go back to the car and you can finish it out because there were shorebirds in play.
Yep.
And we wanted to see it, and we wanted to see what Owen Point was like and whatever. So you walked along the way. I got bored at one point, and I kind of walked the other way to see where the trail came out. And I walked a little bit of that, and it was flat and easy, but kind of boring. Like it's just basically a trail to the park store. So I called you, and I said, you're much better off going back the way you came because there's like no birding activity and no scenery here. So it is a loop. You just didn't do a loop.
Fair enough. So I kind of consider this trail mostly an ability to get to viewing platforms. So there are multiple areas where all of a sudden you could just cut over towards the beach and it provides you this roped off viewing area of the beach. The reason being, like you said, there's these
the
Boards.
shoreboards.
There are these shorebirds that nest in this area, and they have protected their area for them, but they want you to be able to photograph them or at least view them. So there are several of these down the way and all the way out to the Owen Point Trail, which really is the same thing
It is
this
the
time.
Owen Point Trail.
Sorry,
The Owen Point.
The Owen Point, which is the same thing this time of year. In the off season, in the winter, I don't remember the dates, but you can actually walk
After
out.
September, I think it said.
Okay.
Yeah.
At those times, you can walk out all the way to the point and even go on to Gull Island.
You can walk all. Yeah, you can walk out. Apparently, it's like foot. The Gull Island is accessible by foot after September.
Okay.
So that must be some really shallow water.
It must be. I did find out why they call it Gull Island.
Yeah.
There were a couple of gulls in the area.
Yeah.
There were a lot.
Did they get you?
They did not get me. They kept to themselves.
Okay.
I stayed in the roped area far away.
Made sure not to look up though, or anyway. The interesting thing with this trail is that there is a main parking lot for it. There was a little bit of drama the second time we went there because I was looking at the trailhead image, photo, whatever the sign, and reading it, and all of a sudden I looked up. I thought I saw something move, but then I looked and I saw there's a frog in the sign, like behind the glass. Yeah. And I thought, because there's been times where there's been like fake things, like ornamental, whatever. And I thought, oh, they put a frog in there. No, it was a real frog. It was a living, breathing frog that moved. We couldn't see how he got in there.
Right.
That was weird. So I had to call like before office hours, and I'm like, hey, there's a frog in a sign. It's like, I don't know how he got in there or how he's going to get out of there, but there's a frog in the sign.
So they actually sent someone out to go.
Well, I'm glad because like that would be sad if he died in there.
Oh, absolutely. We're kind of a sucker for wildlife, so it was great.
It was kind of startling to see this thing move in front of me. But anyways, the interesting thing about this trail is there is that parking lot to access it via one way, but you can also get to it from the store parking lot or from the end of the High Bluff campground. There's also a little access trail that takes you out to Owen Point. That would probably be a quicker way to get to Owen Point than to go from the parking lot if you're just going to the point itself.
Okay.
Anyway, I think that's all we want to say about that, eh?
Yeah.
The Pioneer Newcastle trails we didn't do, but that's 8 kilometers over 2 loops. It's supposed to be good for birding.
Yeah.
I wasn't in any shape to do much walking at all, and it was rainy, so we did not do that one.
Right.
Cycling.
There's nowhere that's dedicated to cycling here. They do have a short path that cuts through the campground to over by the store.
I think that's mostly to keep bikers out of drivers' hair in that intersection more than anything.
Right. I did like it though.
It was cute.
As you drove up and saw that, it's like, wow, that's a really cool way to do this. So I like that. You mentioned the bike lane on the side of the road.
Yeah, that was massive. That was super long.
It really was, yeah.
And with a view too. You know, because that was the loop that goes out by the lighthouse and past the water and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So very bike-friendly roads, basically, but no bike paths, trails specifically.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this park is it's very, very flat. So it's easy biking.
Yeah.
You know? So swimming. Did you go swimming in early May in Lake Ontario?
I did not go swimming. It was probably just a little too cold. I didn't actually check the water.
I didn't want to check the water. But so there's a long sandy beach. Now the interesting thing with the beach is I think the beach as listed on the map is probably not going to be that long anymore from what one person said to us there.
Yeah.
So there's 3 access points to the beach along the main road. 2 of them were gated off. We ran into someone at the 3rd beach who had mentioned that she kind of motioned in the direction of the other 2 access points and said that they're trying to make that go back to a natural beach. So I'm assuming that means no people.
Right.
So it might be a smaller beach and just not mentioned on the map or the website or whatever yet. I don't know, because she wasn't an employee, but she seemed to be a regular. So it's all hearsay.
Right. The 3rd access point, there was no sign to it. So I think they've removed what I presume used to be called beach number 3. And beach number 2, like you said, was gated off. So I don't know if that's going to be open at all at any point or not.
The weird thing is that one of the access points that was gated off was the one that's listed as having a comfort station on the website. Yeah. So I think there's a full out comfort station because there was a washroom at Beach 1.
Yeah.
And the one that wasn't labeled, it wasn't Beach 3. It was in between Beach 1 and Beach 2. It was just like another.
Okay.
Yeah.
So head to Beach 1. There are a few picnic tables available.
It's a nice beach. It's
It is.
cute. You know, there were a lot of shells though.
There were.
I would definitely recommend wearing swimming shoes with like a rubber bottom to be safe because like you don't want to cut your feet on that.
Oh yeah, that could be bad.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. There was the Moby mat, so it is the accessible beach. Not sure what else to say. You know, it's cute. You know, definitely. Oh, you know what it is? That bay that it's on. It seemed pretty sheltered because it's Lake Ontario beach,
Yep.
but it seemed pretty sheltered from it. So I don't think it's going to be as rough. Like I bet there's no like undertow or whatever. I think it's probably like a really safe beach. Anyway, let's talk about birding because that's what the whole point of going to this park was.
Yeah, there's only one bird there.
There's only one bird there.
There are lots of birds there. We had a whole list that we saw. So we mentioned that the marsh up by the High Bluff campground, that was a great place to go. The Marsh Boardwalk was another favorite place of mine to check things out. You've seen things, people posting about birds in the off season when you can use this as a day use area.
Yeah, during the winter, there's all kinds of like, because all the ducks overwinter there and stuff. Like I said, they get snow buntings there. They get different kinds of owls. We didn't see any of that. I really wanted to see a snow bunting. They look cute. When we went to the Marsh Boardwalk, there was reliably one great egret there every time we went.
Yeah, he was a cutie. We have a big list of birds that we either heard or saw. So
we have video too. We'll put some video in this video.
Definitely.
Like the egret and whatnot. But there was a huge list. What did we hear or see when we were there, Porter? Let's see how your English is going to stay with you right now.
American crow, American goldfinch, American robin, Baltimore oriole, belted kingfisher, black-capped chickadee, black scoter, blue jay, brown creeper, brown-headed cowbird, bufflehead, Canada goose, chimney swift, chipping sparrow, common gallinule. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Probably not.
Common grackle, common tern, common yellowthroat, dark-eyed junco,
What?
dark-eyed junco, double-crested cormorant, downy woodpecker, eastern kingbird, eastern towhee, European starling, golden crowned kinglet, great blue heron,
Take a breath.
great crested flycatcher, great egret, hairy woodpecker, killdeer, laughing gull. We tried to find that and could not. He was laughing at us.
Bastard.
Least flycatcher.
What is wrong with you?
You call him a bastard.
Honestly, you guys, like, we're new to birding, and I think anyone that isn't used to birding would probably hate going with us because
Probably.
the amount of swearing we do, like to ourselves, like we don't yell at birds, but like I'm not gonna make you bleep everything, but we give nicknames to like all the eagles and hawks and stuff in our area, and they're not very nice.
Blue jerks instead of blue jays.
Oh yeah, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the ones up near the house.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Least flycatcher, long-tailed duck, merlin, mourning dove, mute swan, northern cardinal, northern flicker, northern house wren, northern water thrush, pied-billed grebe,
Pied what?
Pied-billed grebe. Okay. Pied-billed grebe, pileated woodpecker, pine warbler, red-bellied woodpecker. You're making me laugh. I can't do this. Red-breasted nuthatch, red-winged blackbird. Oh, so many red-winged blackbirds.
So many.
Ring-billed gull.
I thought that's what you meant when you said there's one bird there. I thought you meant
There's one type.
Yeah.
Song sparrow, swamp sparrow, tree swallow, warbling vireo, white crowned sparrow, white-throated sparrow, winter wren, yellow warbler.
You did it almost. I don't know what a pied-billed grebe is, but
I don't either.
That's my new rock band. I don't know. Okay, so anyways, you saw deer also, but I think that was the only wildlife we saw aside from birds and ducks, right?
It was.
The park is known for being on the monarch migration path as well, but
cool.
I saw one little white butterfly and that was it.
Okay.
How about you tell us about boating?
All right. So Presqu'ile Bay and Lake Ontario, you can go boating and you can go canoeing in the marsh. We didn't actually see anything. We did see a boat going out to one of the islands. I believe it was park staff.
That was park staff, yeah, because we saw their launch boat or their launch.
Right.
But
I thought it was kind of funny. There was a spot that says no boat launching here, and the park staff was launching their boat there. So clearly it's their private or staff boat launching.
Do you know how many, like, you can't do this rules that park staff probably gets to screw around on?
A lot.
I bet you could have fun as a park staff member.
I bet it would be fun, yeah. All right, so...
You'd have to deal with people, though. That doesn't sound fun.
True. Between March 10th and September 10th, including those dates, you have to stay at least 200 meters away from High Bluff Island and Gull Island. From the nesting season, same thing why they don't allow you on the shores there. Ontario Parks recommend that you only canoe on Lake Ontario when it's calm. It can get pretty rough at times, so be safe, obviously. There is a municipal boat launch about a kilometer east of the park. It's 162 Harbor Street in Brighton, if you wanted to look that one up.
So fishing and hunting, we didn't see any of this when we were there, but apparently you can go fishing and hunting. They say you can fish from the shore at Calf Pasture Day Use Area or from Brighton's government dock. Now, the government dock is a municipal dock. It's not on the parkland, but if you're looking at the map, it looks like it's on parkland because it's on that road that kind of goes...
Yeah.
It's like right next to the calf pasture area, but it's on municipal kind of private, or I guess public in that case, but there's land that is not the park along that area. Yeah, but anyway, fishing and hunting, you can fish on Lake Ontario. You're probably going to have better luck as long as you've got a big enough boat to do that, which you're not really going to do from a boat launch in the park, as we talked about. So... yeah.
Heads up about waterfowl hunting in the fall.
Oh my God, yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, according to the Ontario hunting regulations, which I don't know them.
I don't either.
You might hear gunshots in the area is the warning.
Do you remember Rideau?
I unfortunately remember Rideau. I did not like
so
that.
we did not know that there was a hunting season. I don't know if they had it on their park website or not, but there was no warning about you're going to be woke up at 6 a.m. every morning with gunshots constantly at 6 a.m.
It reminds me of living in North Minneapolis.
Oh my God, I don't miss that. Although no, but these were shotguns, not assault rifles that we were hearing.
Fair.
Because we learned to tell the difference.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into dystopian nonfiction now. So, anyway, Discovery program. So, like with most parks, they have a bunch of like natural heritage education programs in the summer. It sounds like they go pretty hard with it. They do also have events that aren't during the summer season. So I know we just missed one in mid-March, which is waterfowl viewing weekend. Apparently they get thousands of people that go there to look at ducks.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a history weekend for the August Civic Holiday weekend, and then there's a Monarchs and Migrants weekend on the Labor Day weekend. And then the park also loans out their employees and programming and whatever for like school groups and stuff like that if you request it. How about kiteboarding?
So kiteboarding looks really fun. I don't think I'll ever do it.
No, you're never going to do it. I'm not going to have to worry about you doing that crap.
They do have a dedicated area where you can go kiteboarding. They don't allow it from May 1st through June 10th, including
Why is that, Porter?
To protect the shorebirds. So there's a launch zone on the north end of the beach, and it's clearly labeled. It does tell you to be careful on windy days because obviously...
If you're swimming.
If you're swimming, if I were kiteboarding, I would end up swimming because I would fall. So the water can get pretty rough.
That's the whole point of kiteboarding, Porter.
Well, I mean, the water could be fairly calm if you have enough wind.
Oh my God. Anyway.
What about in the winter? What can you do there?
I don't know what you can do in the winter. You can look at birds.
Shoot birds in the face.
Oh my God. Photograph.
Yes.
Porter, you have to say photograph, not shoot birds in the face.
Okay.
Oh my God. And you don't get their face most of the time anyway. You get their butts. So you'd be shooting birds in the butts.
True. Okay.
Anyway.
What can you do in the winter?
in the winter, you can look at birds and landscapes. So apparently there's something called an ice volcano.
What is an ice
I
volcano?
have no idea. I meant to look it up after we went there and I saw that, but I never did.
All right, I'll put the link to Wikipedia or something on there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's cool because with the name like Ice Volcano, it better be cool.
It better be. Is it just going to be like a hole that forms in it though? Because I feel like if it's not actually actively spewing something, then it shouldn't be called a volcano. And I can't think of the physics on how an ice form would be spewing.
I'm not
anything.
sure.
Oh, you know what it probably is? I bet it's something to do with waves coming up on the shore. I bet ice forms and then waves shoot up underneath it. I could see that. That makes sense.
That sounds cool. I kind of want to see that now.
I kind of want to see that. So, but they don't have camping there, so we're kind of screwed there.
All right.
So, anyways, yeah, landscape photography is popular in the winter also. How about Niantic games?
So if you're into Pokemon Go or Ingress, there's a whole bunch of portals on there because there's a whole bunch of educational signage in the park.
Much signage.
Yeah, we've talked about that, which is great. So we mentioned we had a rough time with connectivity. We had good luck at the Marsh Boardwalk where we were able to connect and get to the portals.
There's a ton of them there too.
Yeah.
There's so much educational signage there.
So if there were an event, we probably would have been cursing because we didn't have good connectivity. But
we would have gone to the boardwalk for sure.
Right. In our case, we were able to get our dailies in, at the boardwalk. So head over there.
Okay, Porter. So what are your final thoughts on Presqu'ile?
So I really like that, the High Bluff campground in particular, those waterfront sites. I would absolutely go there again. I would love to hit the bird migration again, of course, because that's an activity I enjoy. So I'm looking forward to going back there again for that.
I don't want to spoil things, but I was kind of surprised that we went to Presqu'ile, which is known for birding. Like that is the birding place. And we did okay.
We did.
And then we went to Sandbanks.
And we did amazing.
It was amazing. And they don't even play up their birding at all.
Right.
So I would, if I came back the same time of year, and I think it would come back the same time of year, I think I'd have to go to Presqu'ile for the waterfront site and go to Sandbanks for the birding. And I don't know if I'm going to piss off birders by saying that.
No, I agree. Whether it's some kind of secret that only some people know about or whether we just hit the timing just so, I'm not sure. But nonetheless, I agree with you. I love the site there and I enjoyed the birding. And there are other places that are probably a little bit better for birding.
Yeah. Either way, we had a waterfront site with fossils. So that's kind of the spoiler on the whole thing. Obviously, we're going to be back.
So check out all these details on our website. We've got photos and all this information laid out nice and neat. While you're there, you can subscribe to us, which does not get you an actual newsletter. All it gets you is information saying we've made a new post.
Are we underselling ourselves when we say this? Because I feel like we're like, don't worry. We won't bother you too much. We'll just send you don't have to hear from us. No, but it's just I'm too lazy to send a newsletter. So because I've got too much to do with the writing and recipe development and everything. So it just automatically lets you know when there's new posts, which I think is handy.
Yeah, the only reason I subscribe to newsletters is because I want that information. I don't necessarily want the story in the email. I want to go to the website for that. So that's what we do. We give you the information. There's a new post. If you want to read it, awesome.
Yeah.
Since
subscribe here.
Exactly. Since you're here, like and subscribe. Give us some comments if you have some feedback, and
then you will hear more of our nonsense.
Absolutely.
It might be more coherent than this time because we usually do these when we're not as tired as we are right now, and Porter usually has a better grasp of the English language. I say like a complete hypocrite because I didn't do so good either.
All right. Well, until next time, TLDR.
TLDR.